Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer, and today we're here for the very last of the Civilization 6 Wonder Spotlights, where today we'll be taking a look at Sydney Opera House. Sydney Opera House is a wonder that is unlocked with the Cultural Heritage Civic. This does make it an Atomic Era wonder. To get the inspiration for cultural heritage, all that you have to do is have one themed museum. If you're unsure on how to theme museums, you can go ahead and check out my Civ 6 tips video on theater squares, and I talk about it there. But that's something that's fairly simple to do, and if you're going for a culture victory, chances are you'll probably have a themed museum by this point in the game, because this is fairly late in the game, as you know, it is the Atomic Era. As far as the building requirements for Sydney Opera House are concerned, they are very straightforward. All you have to do is put it on a coast tile adjacent to a harbor district. So in pretty much any game where you have some naval cities, you'll probably have one of these tiles available, as long as you haven't, taken them up with other wonders or anything of the sort. As far as its production cost is concerned, though, it does take 1,850 production, which is pretty steep, as is to be expected for these really late-game wonders. So, as with the other late-game wonders, you're definitely going to have a fairly well-built-up city if you want to build this wonder in any reasonable amount of time. I find that in a lot of my games, this wonder will take at least like 40 turns to build, just because one of the issues is that coastal cities generally don't have the best production, because coast tiles don't give production unless you have something like Auckland, or maybe you have some unique tile improvements. So that is something to keep in mind, is that this wonder is generally going to take quite a bit longer than some of the other wonders in the game to build. As far as Sydney Opera House's bonuses are concerned, it has a few of them. So for one, it's going to give you plus 8 culture per turn in the city that it's built in, so this is decent. I mean, obviously 1,800 production is not worth 8 culture, or 8 culture is not worth 1,850 production. So it's not necessarily terrible, especially if you compare this to something like Estadio that we talked about in the last episode that gives 6 culture to all cities within your empire, so this is pretty weak in comparison, and it's definitely not worth the production cost in terms of just that bonus alone. It will also give you plus 5 great musician points per turn and 3 great work of music slots. This as well is, it's kind of underwhelming, not gonna lie. So 5 great musician points per turn, it's fine, I guess. The great work of music slots are kind of nice because they can sometimes be hard to come by, but if you have a lot of cities, chances are by this point in the game you will have broadcast towers or radio towers, whatever they're called, and each one of those can hold 1 great work of music. So in most games I find that I'm not filling up all of those radio towers in my cities, so these 3 great work of music slots, they're okay, but they're really not that great, because chances are you'll have plenty of space for great works of music in any game that you're playing if you're going for culture victory. So overall, for Sydney Opera House's bonuses, things are not exactly worthwhile in terms of the production cost and the bonus that you get out of it. And now it is that time to give the Sydney Opera House its wonder rating. So if you're new to the series, well, you've joined on the very last episode of the series, but if you're new to the series, all you need to know here is that these ratings go on a 1 to 5 scale, with 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. So for its overall rating, I think that Sydney Opera House very easily deserves a 1. It's really just it's a pretty bad wonder. It comes very late in the game, it has really underwhelming bonuses, and it has a really high production cost that makes it take forever to build, and the fact that it takes forever to build late on in the game means that you're going to struggle to build this in most of your games. It's not uncommon for games to literally finish before you even are able to build Sydney Opera House. So as far as its use cases are concerned, there's really only one, and that's for overflow for great works of music. So only if you've already saturated all your radio towers, I would say that this wonder then even becomes moderately useful, because you can get great work of music slots from, a lot of different sources. A lot of other wonders have slots for great works of music, so this is really a very dead end. You've run out of all of the other options for storing your works of music, and you need to build Sydney Opera House. That's pretty much the only reason I would ever build this wonder, or just to flex on people, because why not, As far as its difficulty rating is concerned, though, I think it deserves a 1. It is a very easy wonder to build. At this point in the game, the DDAI, for whatever reason, they don't like the Sydney Opera House very much, which is surprising because it's very easy to place, but a lot of the times they don't build it, and so it is very easy to build. You don't really have to compete with the others. As I mentioned, though, the only difficult thing is getting enough production to build this in a reasonable amount of time before the game ends, or before, in order for it to have any impact, you do have to build it fairly quickly. So for that reason, since there is pretty much no competition in building it, I think it deserves the 1 in difficulty. And for its consistency rating, I think that it deserves a 4. I guess it is consistent. Its bonuses are fairly much the same. Actually, they're pretty much entirely the same throughout any game. The only thing that is inconsistent is how useful they're going to be, because as I mentioned, if you are not saturating the rest of your Great Works of Music slots, then this wonder really serves virtually no purpose and it's going to be pretty terrible. But if you are in one of those situations where you do have all of your radio towers and all of the other sources, or all the other storage areas for Works of Music full, then this wonder becomes a little bit more useful. So for that little bit of inconsistency, I think it deserves the 4 as a whole. So thank you everyone for watching. This has been the end to a rather long-going series that I think we've been going on this series for a little bit more than a year now, and it's been an interesting one. It's definitely, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely have not enjoyed this series as much as the leader spotlights, but it's definitely been something, and I'm gonna talk about in a little bit where we're gonna go next as far as series and things like that in this channel are concerned. But if you have any suggestions, feel free to put them in the comment section below. But thank you everyone for watching. I have been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for some more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.